Okay, so today I'm going to create this exciting 3D text. It's not actually 3D, but it's sort of simulated 3D, and it's going to be this dynamic animated text that's got some light effects, some shadow, reflection, lens flares, all this stuff. And what's great about this is that there's no additional plugins required. This is all just basic After Effects stuff. So first thing I'll do is create a new composition, and we'll call it text as a very creative name. And then we will create a new solid, and black is a great color, so we're going to use that as the background. And you know what else? We're going to create another solid here. This one's going to be white. Now this is fun, maybe a little grayish. Okay, and I want to create a sort of a background image here that's sort of more than just straight black. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I'm going to select my mask tool, the ellipse tool here, and we're going to just take about that much, right? And we're going to mask off that much. This is the gray solid we're masking here. Go into mask, twirl that down. We're going to feather it quite a bit, and take the expansion net just kind of like that, right? And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hit T so I get the opacity setting, and I'm going to scale this way down. It's going to be just a little bit, maybe like 10. So if we look at that, it's just a little bit more than a black background. It has something there. So that's my background for now. I'm going to add some text here, and we'll call this cool text. You can select whatever font you like. I think actually I do like this font here. So let's scale it up so that it's nice and large in the frame. Maybe even a little larger than that. And so here's the thing is that I want it to be sort of centered. You have to go into your paragraph window here and adjust your settings. I want it to be centered there, and then if you hit Y, that's your pan behind tool, and that sets your anchor point here. This is like sort of the center place. And if I hold down Control, it'll put it right directly in the center. The reason I want that is if I scale this up or down, I want it to be right in the center, as opposed to if it's over here and I hit S and scale up or down, then I just get this from the side. If you want that, great, but I want that right in the center. So Control, move the anchor point right in the center, and everything looks good so far. So I have this white, or I have this blue, and I think I want it to be maybe we will do sort of a bluish, maybe we'll get like a silvery tone here. This is sort of a gray, but behind it. So here's what we do. All these settings here under the character, and if you don't see these, go up to Window and select whatever window you're missing. I have my screen set up here. This workspace is set up just for basic functions while we do this tutorial. So this here is the stroke setting. It's this one, and I'm going to turn that up and put it right there, maybe about 13. And yellow is ugly, so I'm going to go to, let's do sort of a blue. We can change this later, but let's do this sort of a blue, and because we want maybe sort of a shiny silvery look here. So we've got this text, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to create layer, new, null object. And I want to use this null object to control the text. So instead of moving the text around, I want to move the null object. And I'm going to use this little swirly icon and parent pick whip to the null. So I'm just dragging that over there. Now when I select the null, I can move that around, and that controls my text. And also hit Y, and I'm going to have to put this right in the center. Same control right there. Now when I scale up the null, it controls the text. Infinite scaling too, by the way. All right, so we've got this. Now while I'm at it, I'm going to set my timeline so that it's only about 15 seconds. Scale that down, trim comp to work area. Now we've got this super exciting text. Lots of things we can do with this. We could add a drop shadow, we could add glow, all kinds of things. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Control D. I'm going to duplicate it, and I'm going to select the one below. Now see, if I scale this up, I get that sort of a thing. That's not great. But what I can do is I can actually increase the stroke. So let's change the color a little bit. Now change the stroke. Now I get this sort of a color. So there's a little separation. If we zoom in, we can see that. Now I'm going to go to the top text, text 2 and text 3, and I'm going to change the stroke on this one. Maybe make that a little lighter. Oh, that's not bad. I could go dark. That's fun too. Let's go with a dark, and just for fun, let's add a drop shadow. Let's see how that works. I might not like this. So this is your effects presets up in here. You can just search by going up in the search bar, type in drop, there it is, double click, and it'll add it right on there. So we have that. What's great is I can change all of this whenever I want. Now when I duplicated this text, it created another layer, and they were both automatically parented to this null, so that when I move the null, that's why I do that. I want to have control over everything. It's like that in my life too. I want total control. Maybe that's why I like this work. Okay, so we have this fun looking text right here. Now this by itself is neat. We could do something with that if that's what you want. But we've got these two right here, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to double this front one again, hit duplicate, and still parented. And now this one I'm going to rename this, and I'm going to call this reflect. Shun. And I'm going to put this down here on the bottom. I'm going to select, by holding down shift and selecting all of these, I can select all of these at once, and I'm going to turn on 3D. All right, this little box is the 3D box. Close these. Here's what I like to do is Control A, select all, and then it closes everything at once. Just keeps the workspace neat, and I like it neat and under control. So now I've got these 3 text layers right here. I'm also going to add a camera. Now you can mess with the camera settings here and create some fun cameras, but right now I'm going to use the default camera just for fun, and I like to have the camera on top, and we'll leave that there. So now that we have a camera, if you open up these settings here, you'll see that you can sort of zoom in and out, and if you hit C, you get the camera tool, or you can go up here and select the camera tool. You hit C again, and it's this. So I'm really moving the camera. It looks like I'm moving the text, but it's the camera. Control Z to undo. Hit C again, and this is the zoom. This little icon is zoom. I like that. So this will allow me to zoom. I'm going to undo and undo again, and now I'm back to where I started. I'm actually not going to do anything with the camera yet, but there's a reason that I put that on there. And here's what we'll do is we'll take the reflection layer and go up and grab my little arrow or hit V, right? And now I'm going to move this text here. This was the copy, and I'm going to rotate this in 3D space. Now I can hit W and I can do it like that, right? And I can grab these little arrows on here. I could turn it that way. That's fun, but what I'm going to do is make life easy for myself. Hit R, that opens up the rotation, and let's see, we're going to rotate it, not Z, but in the X axis. So, see, this rotates the X axis. I'm going to type in 90 so that it's exactly 90 degrees. Then I'm going to go back to V so I can adjust the position, and I can grab this arrow here, and I can move the position. I can put it up here, but I'm going to put it right down here, and I'm going to unselect everything, and it's almost kind of like a reflection, but not really quite at all. So we're going to select it again, go over to my effects, and I'm going to type in GAU for Gaussian blur, my favorite of all the blurs. I'm going to double click this. Now we've got this blur effect on here, and just scale it up a lot. 55 works for me. And now we've got sort of a blur here. If I go hit the reflection, hit T to adjust the opacity, take it down just a bit, maybe 50%. Now I've got this text here, and the beauty is that when I take this null object and hit P, well, the null should actually be in 3D also. So let's turn that on. So if I adjust, these are the position settings here, under here. Now I can hit V, and I can adjust it in here. Now I'm adjusting the null, right? And everything gets adjusted with it. See that? undo, oops, redo. Now I can move it in Z space. You see that? And everything comes with it. So it almost looks like that reflection follows. At least to me, it does. All right, let's get fun. Control A, select all, close everything. Nice and neat. Let's have some fun here. Maybe we'll put a glow. So I've had these two text layers up here. Let's take this second one. This is the one below it. And I'm going to go back up to effects, type in GLOW, glow, double click, and it's putting this glow on here. So let's adjust the glow parameters. Radius is sort of, look at that, it's already cool. So the radius is how far out it's spread there. Intensity is how, oh, look how good that is. Love it, love it. Okay. Radius, we'll spread it out a little bit, okay? And if you want to, later on, once we get this set the way we want, what we can do is copy, Control C, and put this on the reflection, Control V. Now the reflection glows also. I'm gonna hit undo, because I don't want that just yet. But I've got this glowing text. It's already looking pretty cool, I think. Right? Cool text. So now I'll hit that null. We're gonna keyframe a little animation here. I'm gonna hit P, and I'm gonna keyframe this by turning on the stopwatch, and it starts right there. I'm gonna move this up to about 5 seconds, maybe 8 seconds. And I'm gonna adjust the position here. These are the X, Y, and Z. The last one, 0, 0, this is the Z position. I almost always adjust things here. So if I bring it in a negative value, it comes forward. So I've keyframed that, right? If I turned on this stopwatch, that should be keyframed. Therefore, if I go to the beginning and I hit spacebar to play, we'll see that we have a nice slow moving text here. Super fun. All right. And maybe that'll be how long our little thing is here. 8 seconds long. Maybe a little faster. We'll put it at 7 seconds. Grab that, drag it forward. Cool. All right. And always good to save. Control S. Every now and then I hit Control S. Can't tell you how many things I've lost because I didn't save often enough. Okay, so we've got our cool text here. Let's try another fun feature. Let's select this one. I'm going to close that and look at, maybe that's what you want, right? So I'm just hiding the layer there. This is our front layer. What I'm going to do with this is now I'm going to add a light sweep, L-I-G-H-T for light, space, and there it is right there, light sweep, CC light sweep. Double click, adds it on there. What this does is this adds this sweep across. We got a bunch of stuff in there that we don't necessarily want to see. So you can see that there's sort of this nice light right there. And if I go into the settings for this and I adjust, I'm moving that across. I could also grab this center point and drag it across. So here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to keyframe this. Let's bring it all the way back here so it's unseen. Open up the effects. I can open this up and then twirl down effects, or I just hit, I don't know, I think it's E. Let me see, is it E? It is, and that'll open up your effects properties. Open up the light sweep, and we'll keyframe by turning on the stopwatch, the center point, and it drops a keyframe here. I'm going to drag that all the way to the beginning. If you hold down Shift while you're dragging something, it makes it kind of stop where you want it. That's handy. All right, so it starts there, and then we'll move forward and we'll keyframe the motion so that it sweeps across the entire thing. Let's see how that looks. If we just start at the beginning, there it is. Now that's pretty neat. Now you can play with these settings in here and you can make the intensity stronger or not as strong. I think it's set pretty good at 25. You can make it wider. That's too wide for my tastes. And the edge intensity is a fun one too, as it just makes it more intense on the edge. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, love it. Looks great. Sometimes a little bit more subtle is better, but we're going to make it non-subtle. Save. Okay. Control A, close everything down. We see our layers here. We have already something cool. Now, just for fun, we can add in maybe a light. So layer, new light, right? We're going to add a spotlight, and this the default setting should come up just like this. You could change the color, but we're going to keep it white. Go to OK, and it creates this light right here. And the beautiful thing is that if it's in 3D and we've got a camera, it's already got sort of a 3D environment. But look what happens. It's almost going into the darkness here. I don't want it to go into the darkness. I'd rather have it maybe come from the darkness. So we could do a couple things. One thing is if you have the light selected, you can just grab the Z position and maybe maybe just drag it out a little bit. You could do that. Let's go to where it gets into the darkness here. Let's drag it back just a bit. You know, another thing you can do, see, that's better. We go back here and we press play, and it's just a very subtle light. You can also keyframe the light too to make some fun effects. So in fact, maybe I'll start here. The position of the light right there. Open up the light, open up transform, and I'll keyframe the point of interest and position. It creates 2 keyframes here, and then I'll just drag it across just like that. So the light moves right there. Now I'm going to drag my keyframes in the timeline to the beginning and to about 7 seconds, and we get this. So we got a little bit of light motion happening in there. It's very subtle. We could add some other features to make that more noticeable. But right now, I think I like that the way it is. Now what happened is it brought this layer down here into total darkness. So I'm going to hit T, and my reflection layer, hit T and bring that up a bit. And I may have to adjust my light so that we can see it, because right now I don't even see it. So let's maybe readjust the light settings here. There it is. Hard to see. I'm going to move it back a little bit. Well, it likes to be right there. Maybe we'll raise it up a little bit. Yep. Yeah, you're going to have to play with it to get it just the way you like it there. There. Now that's kind of fun. That's sort of the reflection sort of comes in. Let's go back down to the reflection. And maybe I'll even move this. And if I move just the reflection here, it moves independent of the rest of the text. Maybe I make it a little bigger. Let's see. That's not bad. Very subtle. The other thing I can do is I could take the reflection and I could move it up so it's closer. Makes it look like the reflection is just right there, like there's a floor. Maybe we'll do that. That's fun. All right. Now let's add in something else that's super fun. How about we close this down? How about a flare? Yeah, let's add in a lens flare. There's some great lens flare plugins. I'm closing all this down and hiding everything. There's some great lens flare plugins, but the one that is included in After Effects, lens flare is okay. If you play with it a little bit, you can get some fun things. But we've got the lens flare feature. So what I'll do is I'll create it. Go up to deselect everything. Go up to New Layer and Adjustment Layer. We'll put this right on top. That's what I'm going to put the lens flare on. And I'll double click the lens flare. Look at that. That's already crazy. So I'm going to zoom out so that we're outside the window. And I want to actually put the flare itself, I'm going to put outside. Now you can do whatever you think looks good. If you like this, that's great. And the thing about the adjustment layer is it's sort of a blank layer. But if I drag it down underneath the text, it sort of happens behind there. If you want to do something like that, great. I'm going to put mine right on the top, and I'm going to select the flare, and I'm going to take the center of the flare and just put it outside the view area. All right, and this is just to give it a little bit of extra. So we have this sweep, this light sweep going across. So maybe if I open up my adjustment layer, open up effects, open up lens flare, and I hit the flare center, turn on the keyframe, it drops the keyframe right there. Go forward, and then just drag it across. It sort of moves these flares right here. And now hit play, and I have, you know, some basic flares. It's not extremely fancy, but it's fancy enough. All right. So there's some fun effects you can do with text. There's a lot of other things you can do here, but this is just sort of a starting point on how to make something super cool. Some other things we might want to do is maybe I duplicate that text again, and I have another layer back here, And maybe I could bring this up a little bit, change the color of that stroke, make it sort of really white like that in the background, or maybe oh, that's sort of a fun color back there. And I can see this has its own glow. I could really turn up the intensity there. Oh, that's a fun thing we can do also. I'm going to delete that because I hate it. And here's something we can do is if we take the glow and we keyframe the intensity, let's open this up, go to effects, glow, there's my keyframe, and maybe I'll scale it down a little bit. The intensity I'll go down to maybe 0.7, and then right here, so part of the way through, it really gets bright. Look at that. Go up to 2.8. Drag this out and hit play. See what that looks like. Looks like it just kind of gets real bright. That's fun. All kinds of stuff you can do here. So have fun, mess around, play with things. Don't be afraid to make some mistakes or, get creative with it. Hope you have fun.